just outside of Cork at the world-famous Ballymaloe Cookery School. I'm with Rory O'Connell and Darina Allen's brother.
Hi.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
So tell me about the school. It's what, since 1983?
Yeah, we celebrated our 30th anniversary with a big party a couple of years ago. And I started off quite small here on the farm. And the farm here at the Cookery School is an organic farm, 100 acres. And we've been organic for about nearly 15 years now. So we grow a lot of the food, not all of it, but a lot.
I saw your chickens and your eggs. So.
We've got an acre of glass houses and all sorts of different gardens. So the growing of the food is very important to the teaching as well. So.
And then tell me about the different classes that you have.
Well, for example, this week we've had what we call introductory class, so people from all over the world are in to learn and to be inspired. And then there are half-day classes. Next week we've got a Middle Eastern cookery class in the beginning of the week, and then at the end of the week we've got a seafood cooking class. And then in September we'll go back to starting our 12-week course, and we do 3 of those every year, a 3-month course, and it's like gastronomic boot camp. So 62 students from all over the world, and they can live on campus, most of them do, and we take them through as much as we can possibly fit in 12 weeks. And the first morning when they come, before they do any cooking, before they do anything else, they all go out, traipse out to the gardens, and they plant something. That's the first thing. And then by the end of the 3 months, generally speaking, whatever they've planted, it might be a radish seed or a spring onion or a scallion, they harvest that and they cook it. But that single moment for some of them, the realization that actually most of this comes from what we cook and eat, comes from under our feet, is incredibly important.
Yes.
And that ethos is part of everything we do here.
Well, it's funny that farm to table is such a big movement now, but you look at countries like, I'm from Western Canada and Ireland, so many countries have been doing it for years and years.
That's right, yeah. I mean, this is the way people lived, it's the way people ate in the countryside. You know, they grew a certain amount of their own food, and anything they didn't grow, it came from the locality. And of course things have changed very much since then. But for some people, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but definitely for a growing number of people, that's what's happening, and that change is a very good positive change.
From looking at your schedule and the menus, you're doing back to basics food, none of this molecular gastronomy. And what do you think of those trends?
I think there's merit in all of them. I think they make people think about food. It's a bit like the Nouvelle Cuisine movement of France back in the day. Very little of that has stayed with us. Some of it has. I think the same applies to molecular gastronomy, but actually I do think the more we go on, the less we'll be putting things into plastic bags and sealing them before we cook them, etc., etc., etc.
That's right.
I mean, deconstructing is fine if you're a very, very great chef with plenty of chefs behind you to help with the deconstruction process. The more you deconstruct an ingredient, the more difficult it is to maintain the integrity of the ingredients. So that's what I would say about
this. Well, that's so true, because I've been to many Michelin restaurants where I'm thinking, how many people actually touched my plate before it got to me?
And is it better as a result of all of those touchings? So that's sometimes it's sensational, but it's not always sensational.
For me, I want to see a chef that can make a perfect piece of meat.
Yes, exactly.
Or a perfect roast chicken.
Yes, but understand the subtleties.
That's right.
And this is a real issue as regards cooking schools, because with the younger people who are ambitious to become great chefs, sometimes if their training is in a restaurant that does purely sort of molecular gastronomy, they don't often learn the really important things about grilling, as you say, a piece of meat, and what heat, why that amount of heat, why does it get that amount of colour, why is it not getting that amount of colour. And they're the keystones. I mean, René Redzepi, who's a genius, will have learned all of those things. I'm worried that other people won't learn those things because they're trying to jump forwards to being able to do all these incredible tweezle diesel smoke puffs and all sorts of.
Well, it's interesting. You're teaching back to the basics, and it's the foundation of cooking. There's a lot of cooking. Young students, they want to learn. Oh, I can make a foam. I can make a froth. I can make.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think that's integrity from a chef.
Yes. I mean, we do lots of refined cooking as well, but it refined to the point, not necessarily molecular gastronomy, but more finely sliced, more delicately sauced, thinner, lighter, smaller, but all the time with reference to the ingredient and not losing, as I say, the integrity of the ingredients.
Yeah. Now, you're starting, how long has this been on? This is the Literary Culinary Fest.
Yes, exactly. It's a sort of a food and drinks literary festival, which we run in May of every year.
Yes.
And we just had our third one this year, and please God, next May we'll have our fourth one. And it's proved very, very successfully. I mean, there's a tradition of writing books here in the school and at Ballymaloe. I've written my book, and Drea's written lots of books, and Rachel, who's part of the school, has written books, and did, of course, Mrs. Allen, Doreena's mother-in-law, who's the grand dame of Irish food. She, of course, wrote a seminal, the Ballymaloe Cookery Book, a very important Irish cookery book. So we thought, well, we should do something, and so we invite all of the great, or as many as we can, of the published authors on the subject of food and drink from around the world to come for a couple of days in May, hang out, and then we do all sorts of events, readings, panel discussions, cookery demonstrations, foraging, music, dancing, also, and eating, lots and lots of eating.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time.
My
Beautiful
pleasure.
school. It's a very impressive school. About 100 acres.
100 acres, yes, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Not at all, my pleasure. Thank you for coming to visit us.